Welcome to this course on on-page SEO optimization with artificial intelligence. My name is Alex Kenedinik and I'll be your instructor. In this video, I'll briefly walk you through how the course is structured and what you should expect, and then we'll start right away. Well, this course is all about on-page SEO with AI, and I'll show you the industry-leading tool that uses artificial intelligence and data exactly from Google to show you how you're doing with your on-page optimization, which is really the best place to start, because the keyword research and on-page optimization is something you can control. What you cannot control is link building, which is the reason SEO can take so long. The reason SEO is so tedious, because it's really hard to get links from other sites. But on-page optimization is something that if you're the website owner, you have full permission and full ability to do. That's why the strategies I'll show you in this course are ones you can just complete in 1 or 2 hours. And I'll literally show you, hey, I can take all the suggestions and literally take 1 or 2 hours and improve my entire page. And if you have a large website, you would choose page by page by page in order of relevance. So in this course, I'll walk you through this amazing tool, important feature by feature by feature, because I'm not going to cover all the features, because sometimes we just don't need all the features. We need to know what's important and what to focus on, and that's exactly what I'll show you, what you should focus on, the value you should extract, and what you should immediately apply to your website to outrank your competitors. So with that, let's begin. In this video, I want to walk you through the pricing of On-Page.ai. So it's actually right on the homepage. When you go to the homepage and you scroll down all the way, you get some pricing information, and you see it starts at $129 per month, which is not the cheapest tool in the world, but it's not the cheapest because it's precisely one of the best. And I have no business relationship with this tool. I don't get paid for promoting this. I am not posting any affiliate links, nothing like that. I'm just showing it because I was really myself very impressed with what this tool does for you. And in the coming videos, I'll literally walk you through exactly what this tool does so you can see if it's relevant for your situation and if it's useful. But in many ways, I find it more useful than something like SEMrush, because the suggestions here are so actionable. You'll see it, it's just next level. And what makes it so actionable and so precise is the level of the artificial intelligence that they're using, which makes this tool so effective. And the reasons it's pricey is actually explained here. You see, they use Google's own NLP software, which is extremely costly, first of all. That's why they're able to provide you the best results, because they're using the same technology Google is using to detect things. And they actually create AI-generated articles for you, which also is pricey because they have to have human intervention to make sure the articles are good. And it's just something that requires a lot of processing power. So there's a tremendous expense in running a tool like this, and that's why it's priced this way. But again, you don't have to buy it yet. In the next videos, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, and then you can make your own decision. Again, no pressure. I don't get paid for promoting this. This is just something that I myself had the reaction of like, wow, when I've really used it for myself and saw all that it can help with. And that's why I'm excited to share it with you. So in the next videos, let's dive right in to how to use this tool. Once you get your account set up in the On-Page.ai tool, you can start using it right away. And of course, that's where the exciting part happens. So let me walk you through exactly how to use it in an ideal way. So the first thing you would do is actually very intuitive, because when you log in, you land on this kind of a page, and it literally asks you, what keyword are you interested in? You can use this to research your competitors, or you can use this to research your own website. So in my case, let's say I want to research a keyword like white label courses, because I actually have something that I'm working on, a page that I really want to rank here for this keyword. And I already have an existing page, and that existing page is actually here. As you can see, I already ran this because it actually takes a couple of minutes to run this, because the AI has to do a lot of processing and a lot of work. So basically you just enter the URL that you want to explore, the keyword you're interested in ranking, and then you click submit. I've already clicked submit. So I've already entered exactly this, and I want to walk through the results with you. And of course, if you want to rank for multiple keywords like this particular page, I want to rank it for this keyword and another one. So you would basically just do 2 separate queries in this tool and see how well your page does with either of those queries, and just make the adjustments that the tool suggests. And by the way, in case you're trying to rank in a specific part of the world, right here, there's a little pull down. Select region. Here I have USA. You can choose any part of the world. So once you get the result, the first thing you'll see is your relevance score, you compared to your competitors. And you can actually pull this down and see how you compare to more of your competitors. You'll see right away that even though the second and the third competitor aren't as relevant, just about all the other competitors are a little more relevant when it comes to using those keywords than my pages. So right away, that tells me I need to add a couple of more instances of this keyword, of course tastefully, of course without keyword spamming or keyword stuffing, but I just need to talk about this topic a little more, and that will help me rank higher right away. So you see, within minutes, you have immediate, actionable things that you can start applying to your website to rank higher. And just like this graph is extremely beautifully visual, and it's really telling because it's so visual, right here in this metrics little area, you get to see this in numbers. So for example, you can see that other pages have a little bit less text content. Mine has a little more, so I'm doing a little better on that. You can see the other pages use H1 tags that are more H1 tags than one. Actually, it's recommended to use H1, then H2, I use 14, H3. You can see I'm not using H3, so I may actually consider using H3 because I could be losing out a tiny bit. Same thing with H4. Now, when you start using H3 and H4 and H5, you really aren't getting that many extra benefits, but you could be getting benefits. And you see also images. Other websites are using more images. I can benefit from using more images here and there. Just you can put, again, tastefully, not random images, but something that would make sense for the page. Of course, you want to make sure they load fast so they don't hamper your website load speed. That should be a given naturally. But generally speaking, you see immediately I have ideas that, quite honestly with you, this particular page, it's been around on my website for like 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know how many years, and it's really important for me. But I haven't considered, just my brain just hasn't gone to use H3, add more images. But now I see that, maybe I really should. And the relevance score, in just using my brain without any tools, I couldn't tell this. And as you can see, I'm not doing terribly, but I could be doing better. That's the value right here. Before I ran this query, I didn't know where I was as compared to my competitors, but now I know exactly where I stand. So what's the next thing I do? I go literally to this page and I start looking. Here, I copy this page, I put it into the browser, and I start browsing the sections. This is what you would do. You would start browsing the sections to see maybe you should add some sections just talking about that topic, right? Because the topic we want, the keyword we want, is white label courses in this particular case. White label courses is, by the way, when people want to license courses that I made and white label it as their own. It's a common thing that happens. So for me, that would be a signal. Okay, add one more section to that page, make it about white label courses, add an image to that section, and maybe sprinkle some H3 tags. That would be great because I already have a lot of H2 tags. So maybe something with H3, maybe a subsection of another section. That would be a good thing to do. That's doable, like within 20 minutes probably. And then right away, I'll be able to rerun this tool and see, okay, where am I now? And then eventually I want to start creeping up in relevance score and be more relevant than my competitors, except at some point when you become too relevant, you start being in danger of over optimizing, which is close to keyword stuffing. And actually, this tool will also prevent you from doing that. It will tell you when you've gone too far, because Google can penalize that and rank you lower if you've over optimized. So in the next video, what I want to do is focus on actually sprinkling the right types of words, because right here we have the next section is words recommendations, and how to add the right words, but not too many instances of that word, so we're in the perfect exact sweet spot of what Google wants. And we'll do that in the next video. Now let's look at these word recommendations. It can be a little confusing because you have these different colors, there are numbers next to the words. Let me talk about all this. First, the green are words that you're already using. So course, courses, business, those are things I'm already using. And then the number next to them is the importance of that word to help my page be relevant to that search. Because remember, we're talking about AI. Before AI, it was more about keyword match. If I want to rank for white label courses, I would just have that keyword, white label courses. But with AI, it's smarter. And of course, Google uses AI. This tool uses AI to understand what Google needs. And so this tool says, business, probably people are looking for business courses or something about brand or branding, right? It's very important to preserve your own brand when you're white labeling something, so that you're not showing the brand of the creator of that product, but you're putting your brand there. So you can look at the keywords you're using and the importance, and then you can look at the keywords in red. These are ones you are not using. These are also important, like users, platform, quizzes, for course creators, right? Like quizzes, that's an important keyword. Learners, that's a really important keyword. LMS, that's learning management system, that's also a really important keyword. And keyword like company, that could be important. And like course platforms, etc., right? This actually helps your keyword research, because even though I thought I did really good keyword research, and in some sense I did good keyword research because I have a lot of good keywords, there are many keywords that aren't here, like course content. Of course, people are looking for course content. And see, I have the word business, but not business says, and it says it's not that important, but why not have it a little bit, okay? Because having more of the important words here is going to help me be more relevant in a non-spammy, non-keyword stuffing way. And especially in a way that people are actually searching, which is actually going to help me appear for more keywords and higher for those keywords. And we also have keywords in yellow or orange, depending on how you see the world. So these yellow/orange keywords like app, work, market, in this case, I don't have a lot of them, but these are keywords that appear in the wrong context, like the word Apple. That could mean food, that could mean the company. If the AI is confused about the context in which you're using a certain keyword, it's not going to help your rankings. What that will mean to you is you would look where this word occurs in your text, and you would go there and you would slightly rewrite that text to be more clear. Because if the AI is getting confused, it's likely that human readers are getting confused also. And generally speaking, because there are so many keywords and you can click on show more and there's just so many, you should carefully go through them, especially the yellow and the reds, because these are ones you're not using red. These can be great new opportunities that you're not even getting. Just go through them and make sure that, of course, not all of them will be relevant for you, but some of them will be relevant for what you're doing. Make sure you use them and you use them correctly. And generally speaking, the first 4 rows will give you a lot of the very important keywords, because you see the level of importance goes down. It's ordered by importance. So the first word has the number 10. The last one has the number 3. So once you get towards the end, these words are not that important. But I wouldn't really think about it that way, because even though for this particular keyword it's not that important, you can get a lot of ideas. Like, for example, like courses with certificates or training programs. These are all really great keywords actually that maybe I can target in a different page. So you never want to totally neglect it. I really actually love that this has so many unique, great suggestions. The Google Keyword Tool and the SEMrush didn't give me these suggestions because I ran this keyword through those many times with many variations, and I'm still looking for more keywords, and this is actually a really fantastic thing. I'm just actually going to copy this. Like, you can copy this word list. You can press it right here, and you can save it for yourself whenever you have time. Add this to your keyword list. Add this to content you are planning to add to your website, because it will help your total website have more pages on this topic, interlink better, and rank all your pages higher. So this is very, very, very powerful. I love this feature. And if you, generally speaking, want to look at just the highly related keywords, it's right here. These are chosen. And what you can also do is look at the highly related keywords, because these are chosen with AI, and they have this really cool feature. You can choose to switch the view, and if you look at it that way, you can see what you're using and what keywords you're not using. Like e-learning, I really need to use that. Education, I really need to use that keyword because it's so relevant for what I'm doing. Delivery, because people wonder, how are you going to deliver the courses? It's web-based, of course. And when they search for authoring, like, I'm not sure about that one, to be honest, for this particular keyword, but I should research because people may be searching for something with authoring that I don't know. And I can literally put like course authoring or white label course authoring into keyword tools. And I don't know if that's going to return great results for this particular keyword, but for your case, you'll have different keywords. So whatever your keywords are, this will just give you new ideas for content with which you can create new pages or add depth of information to your current page. So I really love the word recommendations feature and the highly related words. Super, super useful, immediately actionable. In this video, I want to show you how I updated the content for this page that I'm trying to improve my on-page SEO using the On-Page.ai tool. So I literally took this URL and ran it through the tool. And the first time I ran it for this keyword PLR courses, and it gave me a certain relevance score, and it told me which keywords I needed to add. And I literally went through my page and I added the important ones like articles and a few other ones that I thought were important and relevant. And I did the same thing for the white label courses. And I just basically looked at my score, like 302, and I added some of these keywords and some of the important keywords that are suggested here. And I went through all these and added a few instances tastefully without keyword stuffing, but sometimes I added those keywords in the existing text. Sometimes I added new small sections. And so you see here I have my relevance score was 302 for white label courses, and for PLR courses it was 290. And then when I made those changes, here are my scores. For PLR courses, my score is now 331, so I improved by around 30 points. So it's a significant improvement. And similarly for white label courses, my score is 329, so it's another significant improvement, far above average. And generally speaking, this is me and this is me. This is how the graph shows. So there's only one competitor that's stronger than me, but I'm more relevant in Google's eyes than the rest of the competitors on the first page. So then basically what I'll do is I'll leave these pages like this for a few weeks and monitor whether my rankings are going to go up. And I was able to make these changes in a pretty short time, like 1 hour. And if I do see a ranking improvement, that should be a pretty long-lasting ranking improvement. And any ranking improvement, even by one spot, will get me more traffic, more sales. So it should definitely pay for itself in financial results from this project. In this video, I want to show you another really fantastic feature of this On-Page.ai tool, which is the feature that's going to show you, are you over optimizing, meaning are you at risk of being slightly penalized or downgraded by Google? So before I do that, I quickly want to show you these sections, keyword variations and key related words, just because they're on the page. And variations means how long tail are you going with your keywords. I actually like that mine has more variations. And how many related keywords you're using. I'm using more related keywords, meaning, I've thought about it longer. I like that if you have smaller numbers than your competitors, then that's a food for thought for you. Oh, maybe you want to use long tail searches, synonyms, things like this, so that you have more coverage of the keywords, which is basically, again, going to help you rank for more keywords and get more traffic. And of course, the variations are shown here. So this is just like advanced keyword research. So like I have white label courses, but I don't have white labeling, private label courses. I don't have these, right? You see, it shows it to you right away, which is really beautiful, because if you're looking for how do you make things more relevant, like if you're here, right, and it says your page is not relevant enough. Most people who do SEO, like 99% of people who do SEO, their initial next thought will be, oh, to be more relevant, I just have to put more of the same keywords that I'm using. That's the very natural thought. In fact, that's the thought I actually had, to be honest. That's the real thought that I had when I saw this chart. But that would be an incorrect thought, and that's a thought I've already been having. Because look, you see, when I go and scroll down, I have some over-optimization problems. Like I'm using too many instances sometimes of the same keyword. But you see, the smart way to add relevance and more keywords, but in a way that Google likes, not in a way that Google will penalize, is to see half of the keywords on this list. I'm not even using these variations, and I should reread my page and restructure some of the keywords so that I'm ranking for these keywords, but I'm not overly targeting, not overly stuffing by accident, just because I really want to rank for this keyword. So I'm kind of running into this. I tried too hard and I stuffed a little bit, just literally by accident. And this way I'm going to know how to fix it. I'm going to just add these variations of the keywords in red and get rid of one or two mentions of the keywords that I have here in yellow right here. You see, because it tells me when my optimization levels are good, like in this section for over optimization protection, and when they are not good and a little bit too much, right? So I'll know exactly where to fix it. Like in the images, it says I have high density of a certain keyword. It shows me the headlines, and if I mouse over it, it shows me exactly in which ones. You see these H2 tags that I'm using that I have so many of because it told me that right here. See, it says H2 tags. I have like 14 of them. Great. I'm a little bit overdoing it with one certain keyword, a different keyword, the PLR courses keyword, which I'm also trying to rank for. But I'm not hitting enough of the other keywords, so I can just have more balance. Not stuffing one keyword, but balancing it out with other relevant keywords. That's a super smart way to get more relevance without stuffing. In fact, with stuffing less. So this is, again, really powerful, immediately actionable, like literally after this video when I have time, which is a different story, like when the people ever have time. But when I have time, I'm literally going to go through my page. I'm also going to run my page through this keyword, and then I'm going to take the results of both what On-Page.ai said about my targeting for white label courses, that keyword. Then also I'm going to run the same thing and see what On-Page.ai says about my relevance for PLR courses. I'm going to combine that, and I'm going to make the edits to this page that very same day. I'm going to allocate like 1 or 2 hours, rewrite all the sections, change everything. And then if you do it well, you stop making these kinds of errors, you use new keywords. Sometimes the results can come in a few days, a week, 2 weeks. There's no guarantee with Google, obviously, right? Sometimes it's as long as 6 months. Sometimes the results never happen. Google is hard to predict that way. But I'm going to give myself the best possible chance to rank higher by doing all the things exactly optimally without any guessing. That's what I love about this. And so in the next video, let's actually look at page classification, which is something that people don't really talk about in the SEO industry, but it's actually very interesting for us. So with that, let's look at that in the next video. Now I want to look with you at this page classification section, which is something that people don't really talk about a lot when it comes to SEO. And this is how Google sees your page. You see right here in the column of categories, you can see how the competitors and you, like this is my page, at the bottom in blue, how Google sees you compared to your competitors. You see, a lot of the categories are jobs and education, mostly that's that. And so I'm fitting well with that. But if I wasn't fitting well with that, and this is how Google categorizes this search, and this comes directly from Google categories, like inside Google. This company, On-Page.ai, they spend money to get this data from Google. And so let's say you want to be more relevant in that category, or you're not in that category for some reason, like if in my case, it wasn't saying jobs and education, if it was saying something else, it would suggest to me which keywords I should use to be more relevant for that category. Because if Google thinks a keyword is related to some category, well, they're going to be much more likely to rank you higher if you're kind of within that category. So this is just another thing in case you have no idea, like literally without using any tool, no one, no matter how much experience they have, would have no idea how Google actually classifies them. But here's how actual Google classifies your page relevant to competitors. So in this case, it was good, but if it wasn't, you have actionable immediate ways to fix it with these suggestions for specific category words. In this video, I want to talk about competitor analysis, which is a really cool feature here. Of course, you see, you have all of these important words for you. And of course, you already know how relevant you are compared to your competitors. But who knew which words you're using more than other competitors and which words and keywords your competitors use more than you? Well, that's what I'm showing you right here. You see, of course, for the word courses, like the most important things, a lot of the other websites will use that, of course. But once you start going down to keywords that are less obvious, you see some of the competitors, like look at this one, authoring. Nobody is using this keyword. Now we have to wonder, like, what is authoring? In this case, it's not so clear, so it may be an AI error. But if it wasn't an AI error, and we don't know, maybe it is an AI error, maybe it isn't. We have to research this further. But if AI and if Google says, hey, authoring is relevant here for some reason, maybe people are searching this, and the website owners just don't know that they have to address this, but people are searching this, like something like course authoring, education authoring, I can see how this can be relevant. So in this case, if I just add some content about course authoring, then right away I'm going to be more relevant. And if you see, okay, what about courses? Let's say my website here is listed last, the last column. So in my case, I use the keyword courses 66 times, and I can see the competitors. You see, the competitors aren't stuffing as badly as me. I'm overdoing that with the stuffing. Like there's only one competitor. That's actually me. It shows me again here, problemio.com. So I'm overdoing it with the word courses. I can sprinkle in some keywords like education or things like that, or training or learning. And you can see by keyword, everybody is using what, and you can actually click on show more and go down the list pretty extensively. This is actually amazing. If you have a lot of time, you can do the best SEO ever, because you can literally make sure that you're more relevant either with this particular page or with other pages you can create. You can be more relevant for those keywords than any of your competitors, which is really, really fascinating. You probably don't want to go that far down, but what you want to do is scan the left side and see what's interesting for you, what can give you an insight of what could be good keywords. Like, so if we're looking for e-learning, of course, people want courses with engagement. We want e-learning, that's a keyword. But, keywords like use and some, you want to ignore those, obviously, because they're not relevant too much. They're just regular terms. Like some people might search for, I want to create my own online academy or something like that. I've seen that a lot. So I personally don't use that, but some other people do, and it's relevant here. So generally speaking, this will really help you be very, very relevant, more than your competitors. And again, it will also help you see if you at some point, like me in this case, I really got enthusiastic and I use the word courses a lot, well, you can see there's no need because I'm so far ahead of the competitors that if I use the other variations, probably it will behoove me and help me. So that's just another way that you can use competitor analysis and see exactly which term, exactly which competitors are using, exactly how many times. And if that term is important, you want to be ahead of them just by a little bit, but not necessarily overdoing it like crazy. Like in this case, I caught my own error. In this video, I want to show you another really amazing feature of this On-Page.ai tool, and that is the course content that this tool literally suggests you. So you saw above, we found a number of errors, instances where I overused the keywords, things like that. So what you have here is suggestions for improvements. You can use this, or you can use this and edit it so that it's not exactly how it's suggested to you, but it would fit your sensibilities. But you see, it tells me, hey, for topic coverage, add these topics, add these sections. Amazing. I can do that on a new page, or I can add this on this page because this page is getting a little long. But if your page is not getting too long, you can add this and it will help you rank higher, because it is true. I will share with you that sometimes I look at the rankings and often I'm like a little bit below number 1. I'm like number 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range for that particular keyword, white label courses. And it's a really good keyword. And I always look at the first ones and I think to myself, how did they do it? How can I jump over? I need ideas. And you know, the main idea is usually link building. But the problem with link building, it takes time. It's hard to do. It's very annoying. This is so much easier. I just didn't know that it was as easy as adding this topic coverage. But now that I know, I'm going to do it. And my competitors, for sure, they're not using a tool as advanced as this. They're never going to know what happened, why I hopefully will in the future jump over them. So I will just literally go one by one, at section by section, change the title, because I already know that I have to change the title because it does show that I have that title problem right here where I'm overusing it a little bit in that over optimization. So I already know I have to make some changes, but now my changes will be very sophisticated and I won't be in the dark. Like imagine if you are in a dark room and you're trying to find the light switch, you're just reaching, guessing, grabbing. But if the light is on, there's no guessing. You know exactly where the light switch is. Boom, you press it. That's exactly what this is. So these are, again, immediate improvements you can make that will make you more relevant in exactly the best way that Google loves. And in the next video, I want to show you this really super cool feature, topical authority questions, which is, again, something Google really loves. And so we should obviously do. In this video, let's look at this topical authority question section. And you can see this is generated by AI. This is that answer box right here. If I search Google like, what is a flower? It's a silly question, but you see it will give me some answers right here. It's very highly positioned and I can click on the website and I can go there. So these are just ways for me to find more spots in Google where I can rank. And this is exactly what those questions are, but better. Because you see, if I search for what is flower, I'm going to get these answers already. But you see, because precisely I get all these answers already, if I make another page or content answering what is flower, Google is not going to care because it has already so many answers. So this right here is suggestions for new answers that haven't been answered, which makes it immediately much more likely that you're going to be the one who's going to start appearing right here, because it really is hard to appear here once Google has already chosen the result from another website. So these are just basically like opportunities. And of course, you know, these kinds of questions, they're posed in Google, like how, who, what, where. And so you will be able to just pick and choose exactly that. Not to mention, it can give you ideas for adding sections to existing content, but also for entire new pages. And speaking of entire new pages, as you scroll down, you'll get this section of supporting content. You can create new posts on your website so that you can interlink them and make them all a little stronger in search. And speaking of that, there's another section at the bottom here, linking with relevance recommendations. So other pages that I have on my website that are relevant for this topic, if I interlink them and it shows me exactly which pages to interlink, that will help. So these are all immediately actionable. And by the way, when you have the supporting content, this tool also creates content for you. There's the content editor, there's the Stealth AI writer. You would basically tell it what topic you want. It will create the content for you. And when this creates the content, that content is not detectable in Google that it's AI generated content. Because if you just use something like ChatGPT, Google is going to be really vicious about detecting content created by ChatGPT that's unedited, because everybody is going to auto-generate thousands of blog posts in a minute, or, maybe I'm exaggerating, but thousands of blog posts without actually writing any of them. And Google is going to be detecting that. And one of the next penalties that's going to come from Google is, of course, going to be penalizing AI spam sites, which just generate millions of articles of just AI generated content. So you don't want to create content with something like ChatGPT, because that's typically detectable. But what you want to do is use intelligent tools like this, which are made by intelligent, experienced SEO industry veterans who know how to help you create content with AI that Google also likes. So these are all the ways you can use this tool. It's immediately actionable, it's very clear, and in just a couple of hours, you'll improve every page and have your on-page SEO, which is the easy part of SEO. Here, it's all within your fingertips. Most importantly, everything is in your control. You don't have to ask any other website owners for permission, and so you can easily improve your on-page SEO in minutes and rank higher. In this video, I want to talk about content freshness and how that's a very powerful and strong SEO ranking factor, and it's very underrated because it's not very much discussed. You don't hear a lot about it talked about in the SEO industry, but it's really important for Google because it's really important for the users of Google, because users want to find relevant content, and new content is usually a lot more relevant, so this is really important. So let's talk about how to manage the freshness of your website, because you can create new content, you can update old content, then questions arise of like, well, if I have 500,000 pages on my website, how do I update all of them? Let's talk about all of this. So first, let's talk about the degree to which you would update a website or a page. If you give your website a great overhaul each year, that's a great ranking signal site-wide that's going to help rank all your pages higher. Now, of course, that's a very big undertaking, so it's not realistic for most websites. So I don't recommend just to update everything and the look and feel of your website just for this ranking factor. What you can do that's easier is focus on, let's say, your most money-making, most important pages. Let's say you have 5 of those or 20 of those. That's very manageable. Even if you have a large website, very often you have this kind of a 80-20 rule where most websites don't make any money. Most pages don't make any money, almost, just a little. But some pages make a lot of money. Well, the pages that make a lot of money are the ones you can devote time to. So once a year, you can update each such page. So you keep a list of your most lucrative, most profitable pages, which I'm sure you already do because they're so important for you. And every year you go in and you see, how can I substantially improve this page? Maybe I can add more content. Maybe I can add another video. Maybe I can edit the current content, read it over, and improve that. A substantial change. That's important. You could just change a couple of words, and that would help, but a lot less, because Google does look at how substantial is the change. Your change doesn't have to be the entire page, but it has to be logically substantial. Like if you add a paragraph, that's substantial, unless that paragraph is one sentence. But if you add a real paragraph, or let's say 5 sentences, that's a real substantial change. So maybe, you don't know, like, does Google think that? They don't tell you that. They don't have a feedback loop for this, obviously. So maybe you think, well, if 5 sentences seems good, why don't I do 10 and sort of be, cross my T's and dot my I's, kind of just make sure that I do enough. And if you do that for your top profitable pages, let's say once a year, that would be great. So your competitors are very unlikely in most niches to update their pages. They will just create them once, and most of the time they just leave them forever. And so this way you always get ahead of your competitors by updating your content. Now, if you don't have any time to do these updates, what you could do is just update a few words and update the date, like created by, or last updated by, or written by, updated by. Very often there are, author and date. There are such things on the page. If there aren't, you can add that, like last updated, and make sure it's this year. That will give you a tiny, tiny boost, not only with Google, but if a user comes and they see, oh, updated this year, great. Just do that, but don't forget to edit those. Make a note of which such pages you have dates on, so that even though this year it will look fantastic, but if you forget to update it in 3 years, that will become a turnoff because, oh, date is from 3 years ago. So that's what you would do. And if you have a large website, you would just do this in the order of your page priority, which is, again, very often the order of how profitable your pages are. And one kind of trick hack, not really any of those trick hack, but strategy that you can do, if let's say if it's a blog post and you can keep comments open, and every once in a while there are legitimate comments by users, that also gives a slight boost to the freshness, because there is more content on that page. So opening up comments opens you up for a lot of spam posts and negative posts. So if it goes against your business objectives and business strategies overall, don't open up your comments. Just you edit your pages, but you certainly can gain consistent freshness by leaving the comments open. If you have a blog, sort of a page, that's a great strategy for blogs to stay relevant. But whatever you decide to do, however much time you have to devote to this, prioritize content freshness, because it's one of the ways that you can get ahead that a lot of your competitors will totally neglect this strategy, and it is an important ranking factor. In this video, I want to leave you with a few more thoughts on how to use the concept of website freshness to help you rank your website higher. And this is for the case of, let's say you don't actually update your website. Like maybe you have a website that you just made and you left it and it's fine. In that case, what you can do is just create one new page a month. And if that's too much, one new page a quarter. That's very little work. But what it's going to do is going to show Google that, hey, I'm updating the site regularly. The website is fresh. Every month, the website is fresh. It's new. And that's going to help to elevate your entire website, all the pages, just a little bit. And let's say you don't plan to create content. Once a quarter is a fair schedule. It's a very small investment of time, but it pays disproportionate dividends because of this website freshness concept. And what you can do is not just write for the sake of writing, but find a new SEO keyword to target, or find some kind of maybe a new product, a new service you want to highlight. There's always something new happening, so you can make that new page a useful one. And by the way, what it's also going to do is when you create your new page, other pages on your website, you might add links to from other pages on your website to that new page, and then also from that new page you might link to other pages on your website, so it can actually help to boost with extra links the ranking of all of these pages that link to each other. So that's another very good benefit of adding new content strategically in this way, so that your entire website is seen by Google as more fresh. In this video, I want to dispel a little myth, because we've all heard that ChatGPT is going to help us make many articles for SEO and we don't have to write anything anymore. Well, it's only partially true, because while you can create a lot of content with AI, No question there. The problem is a lot of it is quite detectable by smart system, like obviously Google is smart. So Google will be able to detect content that's made with AI. And if you can make one article or two articles, that's fine, especially if you can edit them. So it's not just AI, it's you and AI. But if you just blatantly say, ChatGPT, write me an article, and you just copy paste those articles into your WordPress or wherever, it's detectable. And you can almost see the writing on the wall where like in 6 months or a year, Google is going to come out with a penalty that's going to say, if your website is at scale, meaning doing this often and doing with many pages, at scale, creating content with ChatGPT or AI, we're going to penalize you. So all your hard work and all the ways you thought you were going to get ahead is going to go down the drain. That's just common with Google. Marketers come up with something clever, they overdo it, Google penalizes that. That's just the history of SEO, really. So this tool is actually going to help you create AI-based articles that are not detectable, because you don't want to just blatantly go to ChatGPT. That's a rookie mistake. I know a lot of people teach that, but that's more of a sign of who those instructors are. Why they teach that, they don't know this basic point. And this is one of the main things you want to avoid. Do not get scale articles written in scale by ChatGPT. It's a little dangerous. I can't get into the algorithm mind of AI. I don't know how many articles is dangerous. That's up to Google. But I know a lot of things are quite detectable, and Google works in a way that's statistical. If 1 or 2 or 3 instances happen, they allow for error, you won't get penalized. But that also won't help you that much to only have 1 or 2 or 3. Most SEO practitioners, they want, I want thousands of articles. Yes, I can make them in one day. Great. I'm going to have a big site. Great. And of course, that's a recipe for, if not penalty today, it's penalty coming around the corner. So you want to be a little smarter with that and use tools like On-Page.ai, which will help you create articles that are not detectable, again, because they're made by industry experts and veterans who know exactly what they're doing. With this video, I want to start giving you a more definitive way of thinking about artificial intelligence and how to create content and whether that's going to be good for your SEO or not. And I'm going to use this article from Search Engine Journal, which is a very reputable publication. And this article is titled, Google is forming a policy on AI content. Okay, so let's see what the policy is. And I'm going to scroll down to the part that's important for us. Here is what's really important for us. Article is based on a presentation that was made, and what's interesting for us is right here. Some of what was shared is currently well known and documented, such as it doesn't matter to Google whether the content is AI generated or not. For both AI generated content and translated content, what matters most to Google is content quality. And then I want to scroll down and get to this part. There's also a caution against publishing AI content as is, without a human editor review it before publishing. So it's not like you can generate content and just publish, because, it might not fit with your blog. You might have to change the links around to link to your other pages. Whatever the AI gives you, you want to make sure that it still sounds like your voice, represents your opinions, and is consistent with other posts on your page, and many additional factors that generally is good to have a human editor ensure that it complies with all that. And where you can really get into trouble and get penalized is if you create a lot of AI generated content that's deemed by Google to be not that good, especially if it's not original and parts of it are taken from other sites by AI, and if that's done at scale, meaning that a few instances of this will be overlooked by Google. But if you have a high volume of such instances, where ultimately in Google's eyes the content is not good enough, or something else is wrong with the content, or it's not original, this is where the risk of penalties begins to significantly increase if you do this many times. And then there's this comment about natural content is ranked at the top. One of the most interesting comments by Google was a reminder that their algorithms and signals are based on human content, and because of that will rank natural content at the top. And then there's a little bit of a discussion about how artificial intelligence complies with EEAT, standing for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, because obviously AI can't have experience in certain things. And then the Googler who presented there responded that they're having internal discussions about it and haven't arrived at a policy yet, and policies are evolving. So what does that mean for us? The takeaways are content quality and human editing so that the content is ultimately good for human readers. Now, we are all biased, thinking our content that we create is better than it probably is. So my recommendation is don't just create many blog posts with AI, even if it's not really detectable that it's AI, or even if you use special tools that make it appear like it's a human writer. Apply editing, good editing, so that ultimately you still save a lot of time on content creation, but with the editing, you apply internal links correctly, you take a few sections out that aren't really great for you, put in a few sections that you might write, and then suddenly you're still cutting a lot of the time it would have taken you to create the content, but it's much better, it will resonate with human readers much more, and it will be better in the eyes of Google. So that's the best of all worlds.